I laughed. You're lucky I didn't abort our kid at his birthday party. I can't believe he left me. I'm standing at the edge of Riverwood Park, watching Mason blow out his candles. 6 years old today. The late April sunshine filters through the oak trees, casting dappled shadows across the picnic tables we've decorated with superhero tablecloths and balloons. All around us, kids from Mason's kindergarten class run wild, high on sugar and excitement. I take a sip from my third, or is it fourth, glass of rosé and think, God, I can't wait for this to be over. Ethan's mother keeps giving me that look like I've somehow screwed up the decorations again. My husband Ethan stands next to our son, beaming with pride. His arm drapes around Mason's small shoulders as everyone finishes singing. He's 36, 5 years older than me, with the kind of steady dependability that used to make me feel secure, but lately just makes me feel trapped. Make a wish, buddy. Ethan encourages, his face lit up with that patient smile he always wears. I glance around at the other parents, mostly mothers who've joined us for the party. They're all watching with those saccharine smiles, phone cameras raised. Perfect Instagram moments for their perfect lives. Angela from the PTA catches my eye and gives me a little wave. I force a smile back, thinking, yeah, keep pretending you didn't talk shit about my cupcakes being store-bought. Speech, speech, someone calls out, and Ethan looks embarrassed but happy. I roll my eyes and drain my glass. 6 years of these birthday parties. 6 years of Ethan being the perfect dad while I struggled with postpartum depression, with the mind-numbing boredom of play dates, with losing my identity to motherhood. So proud of this little guy, Ethan begins, and I tune out, scanning the crowd for the wine bottle. That's when I spot him. Jason, my old college boyfriend, standing awkwardly near the gift table with his daughter Lily, one of Mason's classmates. My heart does a stupid little flip. Jason's gotten even better looking since college, salt and pepper at his temples, designer sunglasses pushed up on his head. He co-founded some tech startup last year that just got major funding. I think, what would my life have been like if I'd stayed with him instead of getting pregnant with Mason and rushing into marriage with Ethan? I make my way over to the drinks table, purposely passing by Jason. Valerie? Wow, it's been forever. He gives me a quick side hug. Jason, I had no idea you were Lily's dad. I lie, even though I've been secretly checking his Instagram for months. Yeah, small world, right? She talks about Mason all the time. I laugh, twirling my hair. Well, she has good taste. We chat for a few minutes, and I can feel myself standing taller, speaking wittier, becoming the Valerie I was before I became just Mason's mom and Ethan's wife. Cake time, Ethan calls, glancing over at us. Duty calls, I say to Jason, rolling my eyes dramatically. I rejoin the group as Ethan begins cutting the cake, feeling electric from my conversation with Jason. I pour another glass of wine, bubbling with a recklessness I haven't felt in years. First slice for the birthday boy, Ethan says, handing Mason a plate with chocolate cake. I want ice cream too, Mason demands, his voice hitting that whiny pitch that instantly grates on my nerves. What do we say? Ethan prompts patiently. Please, Mason adds reluctantly. I watch Ethan carefully scoop vanilla ice cream beside the cake, making sure it doesn't touch because Mason hates when his foods mix. Such a ridiculous demand, and yet Ethan accommodates it every time without complaint. You baby him too much, I mutter, just loud enough for Ethan to hear. He glances at me, a flash of hurt crossing his face before he masks it. It's his birthday, Val. It's his birthday every day with how you treat him. I'm being unfair, and I know it. But the wine is humming in my veins, and Jason is watching from across the picnic area, and I suddenly feel desperate to prove I'm not just some suburban mom stereotype. As more cake gets distributed, Ethan's mother Barbara approaches me. Lovely party, Valerie. Though I notice the cake is store-bought, I'd have been happy to bake something if you were too busy. I grip my wine glass tighter. Well, some of us have actual careers, Barbara. We can't all spend our days baking and judging. Her face falls, and Ethan shoots me a warning look. I ignore him and walk toward a group of mothers gathered at the next table. Angela is mid-sentence, and my husband actually suggested we hire a cleaner, but I said absolutely not. Some things a mother needs to do herself, you know? The women nod solemnly, as if she's dispensed some profound wisdom instead of broadcasting her martyrdom. God, that sounds exhausting, I interject. We have a cleaner come twice a week. Best money we've ever spent. Angela looks at me like I've admitted to child abuse. But don't you worry about strangers touching your things, being in your private space. I laugh too loudly. Trust me, anyone willing to clean my bathroom deserves access to whatever secrets they find. The conversation stutters awkwardly. I can see them exchanging glances, and I think, screw them and their perfect mom club. I wander back toward the cake table where Ethan is helping Mason open presents. Jason catches my eye and raises his drink in salute. I smile back, feeling a rush of vindication. At least someone here appreciates me. Mom, look what Dad got me. Mason holds up some complicated Lego set that Ethan probably researched for weeks. That's great, honey, I say automatically. Aren't you going to give him your gift? Ethan asks quietly. I freeze. My gift? The one I was supposed to pick up yesterday but got distracted after my lunch with Sadie ran long. It's being delivered, I lie. It was too big to bring. Ethan's expression tells me he knows I'm lying. What is it? A surprise, I say, glaring at him. Don't ruin it. The party continues, and I find myself drifting between parent groups, drinking steadily, feeling increasingly resentful of Ethan's easy rapport with everyone. He's tossing a football with some of the kids now, with Jason and two other dads. They're laughing about something, and the sight of Ethan and Jason together, my past and present colliding, makes me irrationally angry. I think, how did I end up here? This wasn't the plan. I'd been on track for partner at my PR firm before Mason. Now I'm working reduced hours, constantly feeling behind both at work and at home. Meanwhile, Ethan's contracting business is thriving, and he still manages to be room parent and coach Mason's t-ball team. As the party winds down, parents begin gathering their sugar-crashed children and plastic goodie bags. I'm helping, or trying to help, clear plates when Mason has a meltdown over a broken toy. But I just got it, he wails, tears streaming down his red face. Ethan kneels beside him. I know, buddy. We can fix it when we get home, I promise. No, fix it now. Mason throws himself on the ground. I feel every parent's eyes on us, judging my child, judging me. My head pounds from the wine, and embarrassment burns through me. Mason, stop it, I hiss. You're being ridiculous. Valerie, Ethan warns. What? He needs to learn he can't always get his way. Ethan scoops Mason up, speaking soothingly, and I stand there feeling useless and angry and so tired. Jason approaches, Lily's hand in his. Hey, we're heading out. Great party. We should catch up sometime, Val. I brighten immediately. Definitely. I'll text you. You don't have my number, he says with a smile. I pull out my phone. Let's fix that. After they leave, I notice Ethan watching me, Mason now calmer in his arms. Something shifts in his expression, a hardening I rarely see in my gentle husband. As the last guests depart, we're left with the aftermath. Scattered plates, deflating balloons, wrapping paper, tumbleweeds. Barbara offers to help clean up, but Ethan tells her they've got it covered, kissing her cheek goodbye. Once we're alone, the tension between us stretches tight. So, Ethan says, carefully packing leftover cake into containers. You and Jason seemed friendly. I'm collecting gift bags, stuffing torn wrapping paper inside them. We went to college together, just catching up, and getting his number. It's not like that, even though part of me wishes it was. What is it like then, Val? Because from where I was standing, it looked like my wife was flirting with another man at our son's birthday party. I drop the bags and face him. Oh, please. God forbid I have an adult conversation that doesn't revolve around Mason's bowel movements or your mother's opinions on my parenting. That's not fair. None of this is fair. The words explode out of me. I never get to be just me anymore. It's always Mason's mom, Ethan's wife, the woman who brought store-bought cupcakes to the bake sale. Ethan sets down the container he's holding. He looks tired suddenly, older. You think I don't feel trapped sometimes too? You think I don't miss being more than just a dad and a husband and a provider? You never act like it. You're always so perfect. I spit the word like an accusation. I'm trying to make the best of the life we chose, Val. The life we chose together when we decided to keep Mason. Something snaps inside me. A dark thought that's lingered in the shadowy corners of my mind on my worst days. I'm standing by the picnic table, looking at Ethan across the mess of our son's birthday party, and I say the words I can never take back. You're lucky I didn't abort our kid, Ethan. My life would have been so much easier. The moment the words leave my mouth, I know I've crossed a line. The air between us goes absolutely still. Three other parents who were walking to their cars freeze, clearly having overheard. Ethan's face does something I've never seen before. It empties. Not anger, not hurt, just nothing. As if a switch has been flipped and he's simply gone, leaving only his body standing there among the birthday debris. Ethan, I didn't. I start, my voice strangled. He holds up his hand. Don't. Just that one word, flat and final. He turns to Mason, who thankfully is distracted by his new toys several feet away. Hey, buddy, time to go home. Can you help Dad gather your presents? Mason runs over excitedly, oblivious to the catastrophe that just occurred. Ethan helps him collect his gifts with mechanical movements. Ethan, please, I try again. I was just not here, he says, his voice barely audible, not in front of him. The ride home is silent except for Mason's happy chatter from the back seat. I stare out the window, nausea rising. From the wine or from what I've done, I'm not sure. My phone buzzes with a text from Jason. Great seeing you today. Coffee sometime? I turn off my phone. At home, Ethan goes through the motions, helping Mason with his bath, reading him a story, tucking him in. I hover uselessly in doorways, every attempt at normalcy rebuffed with that same empty look. After Mason is asleep, I find Ethan in our bedroom, methodically packing a duffel bag. What are you doing? My voice sounds small, frightened. I'm going to stay at Dave's for a while. You're leaving over one stupid comment? Panic rises in my throat. Ethan stops packing and finally looks at me. It wasn't just a comment, Valerie. It was a window into how you really feel, about Mason, about me, about this life we've built. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. But you said it in public at our son's birthday party. His voice remains terrifyingly calm. And the worst part is I think you did mean it. Maybe not consciously, but somewhere inside, that's how you feel. That's not fair, I say, the irony of repeating his earlier words lost on me. I love Mason. I love you. Do you? Because love means more than just saying the words. It means choosing that person every day, especially when it's hard. And Val, you stopped choosing us a long time ago. I sit on the edge of the bed, the reality of what's happening finally hitting me. So that's it? 6 years of marriage and you're just walking out? I'll be back tomorrow to talk about arrangements for Mason. He needs both of us, but I won't subject him to whatever is happening with you right now. Arrangements? You're making it sound like we're divorcing. Ethan zips up his bag. I don't know what we're doing, Val, but I know I need space to figure it out. Please, I whisper, tears finally coming. Please don't go. He pauses at the door, and for a moment I think he might change his mind. Then he says, figure out what you really want, Valerie. Because if it isn't this life, with me and Mason, you need to be honest about that, with yourself and with us. And then he's gone. I'm sitting on our bed, alone in our house, listening to the silence where my family should be. I pick up my phone, see Jason's text again, and feel absolutely nothing. Not excitement, not desire, just empty regret. I think, what have I done? 2 weeks later, I'm standing outside Magnolia Coffee, checking my reflection in the window. I've spent an hour on my makeup, trying to cover the shadows under my eyes from too many sleepless nights. Ethan hasn't come home. He's staying in Dave's guest house indefinitely. We've established a schedule for Mason, 3 days with me, 4 with Ethan, switching each week. Mason cried the first night, confused about why Daddy wasn't home. I told him Daddy needed to help Uncle Dave with a big project. Another lie to add to my growing collection. I push open the door to the coffee shop, scanning for Sarah, my oldest friend. She's the only one who agreed to meet me after word spread about what happened at the party. Angela from the PTA blocked me on Facebook. 2 playdates were suddenly canceled. Even my mother called to ask, Valerie, what were you thinking? I spot Sarah in the corner booth and think, please don't judge me too. I can't lose anyone else. Hey, I say, sliding into the seat across from her. She looks up from her latte. You look like hell. I laugh despite myself. Thanks. Exactly what I needed to hear. Honesty is what you need right now, not coddling. She pushes a muffin toward me. Eat something. You're disappearing. I pick at the muffin. Have you heard from him? Ethan? He came by the house yesterday to drop off some tools for Mark. He didn't say much. How did he look? Sarah sighs. Val, please. I need to know. He looked, okay, tired but calm, more at peace than I expected. The words cut deeper than if she'd said he was miserable. He's happier without me. I didn't say that. Sarah leans forward. Val, what happened? And I don't mean just at the party. This has been building for a while, hasn't it? I stare into my untouched coffee. I don't know when it started. Maybe after Mason was born. Maybe before. I look at my life sometimes and wonder if this is all there is. If I'm going to spend the next 20 years planning birthday parties and arguing about screen time. That's parenthood, Val. No one promised it would be exciting. But some people seem to love it. Ethan loves it. He never complains, never seems to miss his old life. Sarah gives me a look. Have you ever actually asked him if he struggles too, or did you just assume he's some superhuman dad with no doubts or regrets? I blink, startled by the question. No, I guess I haven't. Look, what you said was awful. No sugarcoating that, but the real problem isn't that you had one drunk moment. It's that you've been checking out of your marriage for years. Ethan probably felt it long before you said those words. So what do I do? He won't even talk to me except about Mason's schedule. Figure out what you want, Val. Really want. Not just what you think you're supposed to want. And then be honest about it. With yourself, with Ethan, with Mason. I'm about to respond when the bell above the door jingles. I look up to see Ethan walking in with a woman I don't recognize. She's pretty in an understated way. Curly hair pulled back, minimal makeup, simple jeans, and a sweater. They don't see us at first, laughing about something as they join the line. The woman touches Ethan's arm casually, and I feel a stab of pure jealousy so intense it takes my breath away. Who is that? I hiss to Sarah. She follows my gaze and frowns. I think her name is Olivia. She works with Dave's wife at the hospital. She's a pediatric nurse or something. They look awfully friendly for people who just met, I say, unable to keep the bitterness from my voice. Val, don't. You're not being fair. Fair? He's my husband. The husband you said horrible things to and have been emotionally checking out on for years, Sarah reminds me gently. And besides, they might just be friends. Ethan turns then and sees us. His smile fades, replaced by that guarded expression I've come to hate. He says something to the woman, Olivia, and after a moment's hesitation, they walk over to our table. Sarah, Valerie, Ethan's voice is polite but distant. How are you? Good, Sarah says, filling the awkward silence. Just catching up. This is Olivia, Ethan says. She works with Jen at the hospital. Olivia smiles warmly. Nice to meet you both. I can't bring myself to return the greeting. All I can think is, he's replacing me already. How's Mason doing with his new Lego set? Sarah asks, clearly trying to diffuse the tension. Ethan's face softens at the mention of our son. He's great, built the entire spaceship himself yesterday. He misses you, I say, the words coming out more accusatory than I intended. Ethan's jaw tightens. I miss him too, but I see him almost every day, Val. It's not the same. No, it's not, he agrees quietly, but it's what we have right now. Olivia shifts uncomfortably. I should probably wait outside. No, we were just leaving, Ethan says. Sarah, good to see you. Valerie? He hesitates. I'll drop Mason off Sunday evening as planned. They get their coffees to go and leave. I watch through the window as they walk down the sidewalk, not touching but clearly comfortable together. She seems nice, Sarah says cautiously. Shut up. Val, come on. You don't know if they're even. It doesn't matter, I say, surprising myself with the realization. Even if they're just friends, he's moving on. He's building a life without me. And the worst part is, I can see why. Sarah reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. It's not too late to figure this out, Val, but you need to decide what you really want. I look out the window again, but Ethan and Olivia are gone. I want my family back. Then fight for them, Sarah says simply. Not by attacking Ethan or this Olivia person, by showing him you understand what went wrong and you're willing to do the work to fix it. What if he won't give me another chance? Then at least you'll know you tried, and maybe you'll learn something about yourself in the process. I nod slowly, a plan beginning to form in my mind. I need to talk to someone, a therapist or something. That's a good start. And I need to apologize. Really apologize, not just say the words. Sarah smiles for the first time since I arrived. Now you're getting it. As I drive home, I pass the park where Mason's birthday party was held. The memory of that day, of the horrible words I can never take back, washes over me. But for the first time, I don't try to push it away or justify it. I let myself feel the full weight of what I've done. I think this is rock bottom. The only way from here is up. 3 months later, I'm sitting on a bench at Riverside Trail, watching families pass by on bicycles and rollerblades. The summer heat shimmers off the pavement, but here under the trees, it's almost pleasant. I check my watch. Ethan is meeting me here in 15 minutes. Our first conversation alone, without Mason or lawyers present since that night. I've spent these months in twice-weekly therapy sessions, confronting ugly truths about myself. How I resented the loss of my career momentum while Ethan's business thrived. How I blamed him and Mason for choices I made. How I sought validation from men like Jason instead of communicating my needs to my husband. The divorce papers sit in my bag. Ethan had them drawn up last month, fair, generous even. I haven't signed them yet. This meeting is my last chance to tell him everything I've realized, everything I've been working on. Not to win him back, I've accepted that might be impossible, but because he deserves to hear it. I see him walking along the path toward me. He looks good, relaxed in a way he rarely was in our final months together. He's lost weight, gotten a haircut that suits him better. Mason mentioned that Daddy's teaching me to play guitar, a hobby Ethan loved in college but abandoned when our son was born. He sits beside me, leaving space between us. Hey, thanks for coming. Sure. He glances at my bag. You bring the papers? Yes, but I wanted to talk first, if that's okay. He nods, guarded but willing to listen. I take a deep breath. I've been seeing a therapist, Dr. Chen. She's helping me understand some things about myself, about why I said what I said that day. Val, please let me finish. I'm not making excuses. What I said was unforgivable, but I need you to know it wasn't about Mason. I've never, not for 1 second, regretted having our son. Then why say it? Why say something so specifically designed to wound me, to undermine everything we built together? I look out at the river flowing past, gathering courage. Because I was drowning, Ethan, in resentment, in regret, not about Mason, but about what I thought I gave up to be his mother. And instead of talking to you about it, I let it fester until it poisoned everything. You could have talked to me. I know that now. But then I saw you thriving as a father, never complaining, being everything I couldn't seem to be. And instead of admitting I was struggling, I convinced myself you were the problem, that you were too perfect, too content with this life that sometimes felt like a trap to me. Ethan is quiet for a long moment. I wasn't always happy, Val. There were nights I lay awake wondering if this was really all life had to offer. Days when work was crushing me and Mason was throwing tantrums and you were distant, and I thought about just getting in the car and driving until I ran out of gas. I turned to him, shocked. You never said anything. Because that's not who I wanted to be. And those feelings always passed. The joy of watching Mason grow, of building something with you, that always outweighed the hard days. Until I ruined it. He sighs. It wasn't just that day, Val. It was years of feeling like you were looking past me, past our life together, always searching for something better. I know, I whisper. And I'm sorry, not just for what I said, but for making you feel like you and Mason weren't enough. Because you were. You are. I just couldn't see it. Ethan looks at me, really looks at me, for the first time in months. What are you saying, Val? I'm saying I love you. I love our son. And if there's any chance at all, I want to try again. Not pick up where we left off, but start something new. Something honest, where we both talk about the hard stuff instead of pretending everything's fine. And if I've moved on, his voice is gentle but firm. The image of him with Olivia flashes through my mind. I force myself to ask, have you? I'm learning who I am without you, Val, learning to be a good father to Mason without being a husband to you. And yes, I've been seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, but each word is a knife, but I nod. I understand. You deserve to be happy, Ethan. Both of you do. So do you, Val. That's what I've been trying to tell you for years. We sit in silence, watching the river flow past. Finally, I reach into my bag and pull out the papers. I'll sign these if that's what you want, I say. But I want you to know that I'm committed to being a better mother to Mason and a better co-parent with you, Whatever happens between us, I'm not the same person who said those terrible things. Ethan takes the papers but doesn't open them. I believe you're trying, Val. I can see the changes when you're with Mason. He notices too. Hope flickers, tiny but persistent. He does? He told me last week that you've been making him pancakes in animal shapes, that you took him fishing at the pond. I smiled despite the tears threatening. He caught 3 sunfish, insisted on releasing all of them. That's our boy. Ethan's voice softens on the word our. Ethan, I say carefully, I'm not asking you to take me back. I know I broke something that might not be fixable. But would you consider coming to therapy with me sometime? Just to talk about how we can be better parents for Mason? He's quiet for so long, I think he's going to refuse. Then he says, I could do that for Mason. It's not everything, but it's something. A tiny foothold on the mountain I need to climb. Thank you, I say simply. Ethan stands, the unsigned paper still in his hand. I should go. I'm meeting Mason at the Science Museum at 4. He's been talking about that all week, I say with a genuine smile. Take pictures for me? I will. He hesitates, then adds, I meant what I said on the day of the party, Val. Figure out what you really want. Not just for Mason or for me, but for yourself. I am, I tell him, every day. As he walks away, I don't feel the crushing despair I expected. Instead, there's a strange, tentative peace. The path ahead is long and uncertain, but for the first time in years, I'm facing it honestly. I think, I can't believe he left me. But maybe, just maybe, I can become someone worth coming back to.